Good evening. Thanks very much for coming back to my channel. This is episode 13 of Inspirational Invitational. I have had a couple of weeks off doing this. It was the World Cup, people. I had other priorities to deal with. So live streaming wasn't up there on a Wednesday night when England were playing. But we're back with a vengeance, and we've got some great guests on today. So I've got with me Mark. Mark is the Mayor of Aylesbury, and he also runs with me at my running club. And I also have a very special guest who you'll know as Kellogs on the Run. Welcome to the channel.
Hiya.
Hiya. Thanks very much for coming on, Kelly. And we're just going to get straight into the questions, if that's all right, because we get limited time on this. So if you could just start, please, by telling people about how you got into running and what started you off.
Pretty much, I think everybody gets into running to get fit and lose a bit of weight. It was as simple as that. So yeah, I just decided to join a local Coach 5k group and went from there. I didn't last very long. I kind of went off and did my own thing. I found it a little bit too, I didn't like doing the set intervals and things like that. So I just went out basically and ran and walked what I could. So yeah, so I got into it just for that simple reason, really, just to get fit after having 4 children. You know, it's try and get rid of the mud and stuff. And as simple as that.
Okay, well, thanks very much. And Mark, what about yourself? What got you into running?
It was necessity. 37, diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Boring sedentary job, sitting on my backside. Had to lose some weight. Discovered parkrun and started raising money for charity, for mostly for carers clubs, by doing runs. So just purely out of necessity to get myself fitter and healthier, yeah, look after myself, because I had a young family at the time.
And that's great, because you know, it just shows people do get into running for different reasons, and then we all go on our own little journeys. And very recently, both of you have completed some epic races. So Mark, what race did you do? The endurance race?
Well, I've over the years I've done all of Race to the Stones, the whole 100k, but I've done it over 2 years. I was going to do it this year, but my training after doing the marathon was so poor, and the weather was so hot, that I decided that I would go and support a really good friend of mine who was doing it. So I was chauffeur for the day instead, and I think I made the right choice. It was just too bad. But yeah, Race to the Stones is a fantastic run, although it does have some mental torture in it, because they lead you past, you can see the finishing line, and it's just over there, but they make you go around the stones at Aylesbury and then come back on yourself. So that is particularly cruel, but it is a fantastic event, and it's beautiful scenery.
Yeah, I think that's right. I ran the Leamington Spa half with Fred, and it was his first ever half, and he hated that at the end, where we saw the finish and then we had to go and do another lap of a park. And Kelly, yourself, what races have you done this year?
Yeah, so I did Race to the King, and then I did Race, well, no, I did before that, I did Race to the Tower, and then Race to the King 2 years later. And
you did those back to back?
Yeah. It was never meant to happen like that. I did Race to the Tower, and I thought, yeah, that's enough. I need to get better ultras before I do another one. And then I won a raffle entry for charity. So I actually won the place for Race to the King. Oh, when in Rome, you know, let's go for it.
So it's like a complete accident. You just ended up with 2 race places in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, you just got to go for it, haven't you? I was never expecting to win, you know, but yeah, that was nice whilst I was still aching and really sore from Race to the Tower.
You're speaking.
Yeah. It's crazy. I should never have entered the raffle. I never have any luck with raffles, yeah. But there we go. But I did this time. Call it luck.
But yeah, I think all runners do that. If you see an opportunity to get a free race place, you just go for it, don't you? And you think, well, I'll probably never win, because you know thousands of people are going to enter. And then when you do happen to win, it's kind of unexpected, isn't it? But what a prize! You know, race to the King's a massive race. So and so guys who are watching this, you've heard now we're talking about Race to the Stones, Race to the King, and Race to the Tower. There's sort of a trio of races. So if you've got absolutely any questions about those, if you get into the live chat below and leave some questions for Kelly and Mark, and we'll try and get them all asked and answered during this interview. Get them in as early as you can so that we can deal with them in the chat. So, Kelly, then, you've started off, what was the first of the two like?
Race of the Tower. I absolutely loved it. It was brutal, the elevation and the hills. And it wasn't until a few days before the race that I actually knew it was going to be that bad when I looked at the race profile. But yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was really good up until the end, but I think that's the way with all ultras. You kind of drag your bum around the last bit. But yeah, it was an amazing race and I loved it. And I think it's always going to be one that has got a fond place in my heart because it's the first one.
Yeah, and you don't forget your first ultra, definitely. I've only done the one, and I certainly burned into my memory as a massive achievement. And when you crossed that finish line, how did you feel?
Oh well, I just cried. I cried loads. It was just like a huge kind of vacuum of emotion. So when I finished that line, I couldn't believe I'd done it because the last 3 miles I actually thought I wouldn't be able to do it. I had really bad blisters that I'd ignored and thinking I'll be okay, I can keep plodding onwards. And I think the last 3 miles took me something close to 2 hours to kind of get through. So yeah, I was just overcome with emotion, and of course I crossed the finish line with my children as well, 2 of my children. So it was just oh god, it all happened at once. Yeah, and then I came crashing back down. You started feeling cold and all of that kind of when you come down from that emotion. But it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
And when you first started running, then did you ever think that you would be running an ultra?
No, never ever. I mean, I can remember my first park run thinking this sucks, and then I remember my first 10K race and thinking, how do people run half marathons? How do people run marathons? I just couldn't think in my head how people ran that far, how people kept going for that long, that distance. And ultras never entered my head until really this year. And I thought, you know what, I quite like the look of that.
And I think, when you completed a marathon, you are looking for that next challenge, aren't you? And it's a bit like somebody who's done a 5K looking for a 10 or a 10 to a half. You've always got to try and challenge yourself. And what about you, Mark? What got you into doing an ultra? And did you ever think it was possible?
It was leading on from actually a 10K. I did I think it was the London 10K, which is a fabulous race. I love it. It's brilliantly organised. And because I did that for Carers Bucks, because I am so bone idle that if I don't do it for a charity, I'm probably not going to do it. So it has to have a purpose for me. So I landed up doing the 10K and then being contacted and said, "We've got this thing called Race to the Stones. I've never heard of it. Do you fancy doing it?" And stupidly, I said yes. And it was really tough. But in actual fact, having now done the London Marathon, which was something that I'd wanted to do since I was a child, I actually think that probably because there's less time pressures and you've got more recovery stops and it's so well organised, that it's actually a slightly easier event to do than a marathon, where you just have to keep on going and there's very little respite.
Yeah. And I think the big question for both of you, because obviously nutrition is always massive in any run, marathons especially, ultras even more so. But Mark's mentioned already his type 2 diabetes, and Kelly, you're type 1 diabetes as well. So, and I had a question come in from Elsabeth. She wants to know 2 things really. One is, how do you control your blood sugar on your long runs, and what sort of nutrition, I suppose, are you doing around that to try and keep it at the right levels?
Yeah, it kind of depends how far I'm going, but long runs, so anything with diabetes over an hour is classed as a long run, so you need to make sure you're fueling for. It's little and often, so it's every half an hour I take either half a gel or I take a couple of jelly babies just to keep my glucose levels up, especially with long runs where you're kind of doing a steady effort. It tends to bring your blood sugars down quite quickly. So I'll take half a gel every half an hour. I also make sure that I've had decent carbs before I go out, and I don't go out too close to giving myself an injection, because it can come down really quick when you do that.
Yeah, so obviously you're taking insulin, is that right?
Yeah, injections.
So if you had an injection, like how long roughly would you leave it before going for a run?
I would leave it at least 2 hours, just to make sure, and then I'll check my blood sugar again, because then you're pretty sure that your levels are staying stable at that whatever number comes up. Obviously with long runs, I do try and do my long runs really early. So a lot of the time, I'll either have to get up earlier to make sure I'm having something to eat, which can be a real pain. You know, like if you're getting up at 7 to do a long run, then you've got to make sure you're up at 5 o'clock to make sure you've eaten in time, or go without. It depends on the distance.
So you actually got a lot more to think about and consider, really, because like some mornings, you know, because I work shifts and stuff, and sometimes I get in late from work. I haven't really had a proper dinner. I go to bed, I get up, and then I go out for a run before I've eaten, and I'm just doing that because I've got to pack it all into the time that I have available before my next shift, sort of thing. But so if I was a diabetic, that would be a lot more problematic, I suppose, because I'd have to factor in all this extra time for eating and fueling.
Yeah, and you've got to think, you know, did you last week? When did you last do an injection? Yeah.
So on Instagram, you see the hashtag 6 a.m. club. You'd be the 4 a.m. club.
yeah, if you go off the time that I'm waking up, then you know I'm a true warrior with the early morning runs. Yeah, but I tend to go back to sleep.
No, I don't blame you. That's way too early for me.
yeah, I'm not good with morning running anyway, so I tend to try and go out a bit later.
Okay, and Mark, you're type 2. So how is that different to type 1? And what sort of stuff do you have to consider and manage?
Well, it's a lot different. The main thing is I'm on pills, which shouldn't mean that my blood sugars crash, but that doesn't mean that I don't carry some glucose with me, some sweets or something, just in case, because you never know. Particularly in weather like this, where you can dehydrate as well, and
yeah,
it's all a complication. But to be honest, I sort of have the 2 hour thing as well, because I don't like to be running with a full stomach. So for me, it's a lot different. I mean, my wife's type 1 as well, so I do know a bit about it, Kelly. And obviously for you, data's key. You've got to have that blood sugar data so that you know where you are. I don't have to do that. I don't check my blood glucose levels. I just sort of go on how I'm feeling. But things like Race to the Stones, where there's so much fuel out there anyway, that's a different sort of event.
Yeah, I mean, me and Mark are not medical professionals. I don't know about you, Kelly. Are you a nurse or a doctor or anything?
Not at all, no.
No, so anything we're talking about, I suppose it's not going to be like professional medical advice. We're just going off of like our own experiences.
It's just where I've been as type 2. I'm a train driver. Trust me, you don't want to take any medical advice from me.
So yeah,
a lot of it as well.
Sorry, go on, Kelly.
A lot of it with your blood sugars, I think it is quite personal, because different people's bodies react differently. So it is very much trial and error. And I think for me, it took going out in safe places where I had phone signal and I could meet people, to kind of go out and experiment and figure out, you know, how much fuel I needed, and how that would work for my body. Making sure that, you know, I could contact somebody if I had a hypo that I can, you know, get out of, or if I, you know, struggled in any way. So it is a lot of it's trial and error as well.
Yeah, and I know a guy. He had either an app on his phone or something. It was like an emergency feature that he could press if he really got into trouble, and it would give off his GPS location to a selected list of contacts, so that they knew where he was, and obviously knew he was in some trouble, and then they could all get to him quite quick. So, is that something that you've come across or you've used?
No, I'm not very wise in that department. Especially now, I've had a couple of close calls recently where I've had low blood sugar and nowhere, no signal, which has given me a bit of a wake-up call. I think you can get a bit lazy with it. I had, so yeah, I need to improve on letting people know where I am.
I think that's like most things in running as well. When it's going well, you kind of take it for granted, don't you? And it can be like your speed or your endurance or anything. You can take it for granted, and then when you're not paying attention to it, it catches you out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, right. I've got a couple of questions coming in from the FOD runner. He says he's only just turned up, but have you had any bad experiences in a run where your sugar has dropped low and you've been in danger? And if so, how have you resolved that?
Yeah, just funny enough, what I just said. I think it was last week or the week before. I went to quite a remote place. I didn't have any signal. I thought I would be okay with a couple of bags of Skittles. I wasn't, and I ended up having a hypo blood sugar. And that was kind of hoping that the Skittles were enough to get me back to somewhere where I could get some sugar. So luckily, I managed to cut the route short and head back to civilization, get a bottle of Coke, which was amazing. But yeah, I mean that was a close call, and that was a wake-up call for me. It wasn't big and it wasn't clever, but yeah, luckily I managed to find a very dicey route back down to Signal and shops.
No, that was good. Yeah. Good job, really.
Yeah, really good. I did think as well, and all sorts kind of went through my head. I was thinking, oh, if I collapse here, am I going to have rats crawling all over me? Squirrels, you know. I thought, oh, because I'm in the middle of the woods. I had all these visions going through my head. It was a bit funny.
Oh God, I could just imagine that, like, you know, squirrels and rats and God knows what.
You're lucky it's not midsummer.
Yeah. And what about you, Mark? Have you got any experiences that have been bad?
Not particularly with that. I mean, the worst experience that I've had has been with the marathon, where it was so hot this year. But I got around that by taking the glucose and rehydration tablets, dropping them into a bottle of water. I think they really helped. So it's not been too bad. What I would like to say is anyone who's been diagnosed with type 2, anyone who's been diagnosed with pre-diabetes, please give running a go. It can have a massive effect on your blood sugars. If you're pre-diabetic, it can get you out of that range. And if you are actually just entering diabetes, it can really, really help with your control and keep you off those drugs. Because I've had periods where I've mucked up my blood sugars. I've eaten too much chocolate over Christmas, because we can still eat chocolate. And you know, landed up having my drugs put up, and I'm still fighting the battle to get those down again now. So it's well worth just getting out, running, join parkrun, join a running club, go cycling, do some exercise. Just get yourself moving more, and it has a hugely beneficial effect. It's well worth it. Diabetes doesn't have to stop you.
Yeah, it's definitely not sort of life debilitating.
It's only debilitating
you can live
let
with it,
it,
manage it, and,
yeah.
And get on with normal things like running.
And the other benefits of running are all the people I meet. And I've got a huge circle of friends. I love it. It's a fantastic group of people. I always meet interesting people like Kelly and you, Rich.
I like the way you said like Kelly, really passionately and convincingly.
Yeah.
And then, absolutely. Well, yeah, that question was from the FOD runner, Kelly, and the FOD stands for the Forest of Dean. So he's in your area, I think. Maybe you'll come across him one day running through the trails.
Oh yeah, there's always people out there.
I've got another question from Vicky B Health and Fitness. What do you prefer to carry with you to help with a hypo? Example, dextrose tabs or sweets, Coke, assuming that you do carry something. What do you like to carry with you?
I always carry something with me, apart from the other day. I'm always jangling. I've got usually a spy bat on or something on, you know, even a short run. But for me, dextrose tablets they're not that effective for me. So I don't use them anymore. I found I've had quite a few hypos using those. Jelly babies work wonders for me. So I've always got an absolute ton of jelly babies. So if anybody ever sees me in a race and it's flagging and needs a jelly baby, I'm your girl. And and Lucozade as well. Lucozade works really quickly.
And how long did it take you to find out that those things work? Was there a little bit of testing and trying there to get the right things?
Yeah, like it took a lot of trial and error. And it probably took a good few months of running properly to find what worked for me.
Okay, thank you for that. And I've got another question from Elizabeth, and she's asked, how did you train for the race to the King Race to the Stones back to back? And she also says that you're pretty awesome for doing it, but she's interested in your training.
Oh, the training. Well, it was a bit of a difficult one because I was returning from injury. So I had to really kind of cautiously for the first 6 weeks of my training for it. And then I threw it all to the wind and I thought, no, right, let's just get on with it. Spent a lot of time, just time on my feet, doing long runs, which are a lot more laid back than marathon training long runs. So having walk breaks, going at a much easier pace, just spending that time moving forward, I guess. So I did do quite high mileage, but it wasn't kind of hard running like you would for marathon training. So, for instance, I did a trail marathon. I entered off. I just thought, I'll go and do that for a long run. But I walked the hills and I ran the rest of it as I would in an ultra marathon. And I did, a lot of walking as well.
Yeah, I think you have to plan walks into it. The ultra that I did was Comrades in South Africa, and that's got 5,000 feet of ascent on the up year, which I did. So those hills, it really was essential to walk some of them, as your heart rate would go through the roof and your lactic would build up, and it was like a strategy, and they talked to us about controlled walking at the expo there. They said, if you're going to walk, do it for so many paces or so many seconds before you get going again, so you're not walking too much. And also, they called it aimless walking. If you just find yourself walking and not really thinking about it, it's aimless walking, and that's not good. You've got to keep making progress. But
you can kind of just amble along, take it all in. But the best way is kind of get a bit of a march on, proper walking. Yeah.
Okay, well, also, I know that you've recently done a 24-hour race. Which one was it that you did?
That was Thunder Run, Continental Thunder Run.
And I've personally done the Cotswolds 24-hour relay. And Mark, you've done
bits of Enduro 24.
Yeah. So what were your what was your team size?
We had 8. We were a mixed team of 8.
And what were your tactics going into the laps? How were you doing single laps, double laps? What were you doing?
We did single laps, and we had an order we were going out in, and we kept that order. Pretty much kept it until the last morning, the last few morning hours, and then we decided to get the quick ones out. So they had to go and get another lap in a bit quick. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a massive challenge doing a 24-hour race, but it's also doing it as a team and you achieve it together. And it's just such a great bonding experience. And by the end of it, you all feel like a bunch of champions. It doesn't really matter where you came in the race or whatever. It's just such a great thing to do.
It really was. It was like you said, really great bonding experience. We had such a laugh, and I think that was the main thing. We all said we wanted to have fun. So we weren't out there to win, we're not the serious guys that do super quick 10Ks. We just want to go out, have a good time, do our lap, come back, have a cup of tea and a giggle about how hard it was, and, go again. It was good fun.
Okay, what about you, Mark? With your 24, how did you find it?
Well, I hate camping. It's part of the problem. I really, really dislike camping. But it's when you're lying in your tent thinking, I've got to get up soon, and you can hear people standing out there talking, there's a bit of rain and I nearly slipped off the trail. And you think, what am I getting involved in? But they're brilliant events, absolutely great fun. In fact, I'm managing a team of nice slow club runners next year. We're going to be called the Lollygaggers. And the thing about something like Enduro 24 and any of these runs is it's entirely up to you how you treat it. So it's a group of like-minded people. We're not going to win. We're just going out there to test ourselves a little. I'm hoping to do sort of 4 laps, which should be pretty awesome for me.
Okay, and I'm just going to go back on the live chat. Guys, if you've got any questions now, you need to get them in quite quickly because we're running out of time. So Vicky B Health and Fitness, she said, thank you for the glucose tabs and jellies babes advice. She's looking to help some clients with ideas, so thank you for that. And the FOD runner said, I didn't realise you were local. He's just found you on Instagram and see you race a bit in the forest. And he wants to know if we're doing the trail marathon on the 5th of August around the forest.
I am. I'm only doing the half though, because I did the full marathon, which was the same route back in May, I think it was. And that was 4 laps and that was enough. I don't think I can do it again. So I'm just going to do the half and then run home for a long run.
Yeah, fair enough. And was that the OMM one or is that a different one?
A different one.
Oh, okay. Oh, the running guru's just tuned in. He said, Your Highness Lord Mayor. In fact, actually, speaking of which, Mark, you know, most of us runners do have a bit of race bling that we brag about. Hashtag Medal Monday, but not many of us can beat this. It's just getting dressed over here and then go and show us.
It's adorning.
Runners will recognise things like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is mine for a year. I am actually the Mayor of Aylesbury. And one of the reasons I wanted to do to become mayor, I've been a councillor for a long time, was because I want to encourage people to do more exercise. So I'm actually in the process of sorting out a mayor's challenge, which is going to run over, I think it's 12 weeks, from September through to December. So encourage people to go and lose some weight for Christmas, perhaps. And it's going to be to cover, I think it's 36 miles of the Aylesbury Ring, and it's a virtual run, and we're going to have our own bling, and all profits we're going to go to my charity, which is Carers Butts and Young Carers. So
that's fantastic.
So because it's virtual, people can enter from anywhere. I'm even hoping my lad's currently training with the Royal Navy. He's joining up. I'm hoping he's going to persuade some of his colleagues to get involved as well.
That's awesome.
So Joe, you better get on it, mate.
You've been told, Joe. Well, let me know. Send me the links.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as I've got details, they will be out there.
I will definitely share them on my social media. And Kelly, will you share them for him?
Yeah, totally. I'll sign up. It sounds amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And speaking of social media, just in the description below this video, I've put links to all of Mark and Kelly's social channels. So if you've liked what you've heard today and you want to see more about what they're up to and see their pictures on Instagram, then you can go to those links and check that out. And mine's down there too, you know, so you might as well whilst you're there. But yeah, I don't know if we've got any more questions. Just quickly checking. Vicky B says, I'm going to have to talk to Phoenix Running about their bling. They have competition. Oh, thanks for that, Vicky. Nice one. Right, so yeah, I think we'll wrap this up. So as always, if you have liked watching this video, please click the thumbs up button on YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel for more live streams like this with inspirational runners from all around the UK and around the world. And all my regular content is sort of race blogs and training and stuff like that. So please subscribe for that. Kelly, thanks very much for coming on and giving us your time.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
No, it's been great. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you, Kelly.
Mark, thank you.
No problem, mate.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and do this video with us.
Well, it's so hot, I'm off for a swim now.
Yeah, good plan. Okay, well, thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your questions. And thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.